Okay, so the title of my talk today is...
I'm coming.
No.
Sorry.
The title of my talk is Up a Notch. There you go. Up a Notch. Perfect. So, when I looked up this title, I thought, well, where did we ever get the idea of taking it up a notch? And so I looked up the definition. What does it mean to take it up a notch? And so you go to Urban Myth Dictionary, which tells you where did this come from. And what it really means is to say I'm going to take it up a notch, you're saying that you're making something more interesting, or you're making something more intense, or more exciting. So, how interesting is your life? And I don't mean interesting like, that was interesting. I mean, how interested are you in your life? That's a big question. How interested are you in your life? If you got up here and told me the story of your life, would you bore me to tears? No, Suzanne Wong, we all know you would not bore us to tears, yes. So, are you interested in your life? Has your life been interesting? I recently went back over my whole life for a specific reason, just to look at it, and I was like, damn, your life was really full, really interesting, really amazing, really. And I thought to myself, and I've just barely begun. And that's where I am in my life. So taking it up a notch for me means, how am I going to make my life even more interesting? How am I going to make it even more interesting? Or intense. And I don't mean the kind of intense like, that was really intense and I really don't want to feel that again. How many of you have had those experiences? That was way too intense, or he was way too intense, I don't want to date that again. And then we date him again, and again, and again, right? Not me, of course, I settled in finally. But that was part of my interesting life, I will tell you, all that intensity that I used to be a part of. And the other part is exciting. How exciting is your life, Johanna? How exciting is your life? Can you look at your life and honestly say to yourself, my life is exciting, John Livesey? Yes, you can, can't you? Yes. So, can you look at your life and say, my life is exciting? Or are you somehow not living up a notch? That's what it's going to mean this month. If I'm going to step into my power and understand what the power is, which is the divine energy in me that says I can do anything I put my mind to, then I have to be willing to be more interesting, to have a more intensity in my life, and to have things be more exciting. Now, one of the other definitions for up a notch is this: to pick up the energy of play. Pick up the energy of play. How many of you are playing enough in your life? Raise your hands if you think you play enough in your life. Okay, so that's not a great percentage. What does it mean to play more in your life? Well, I think we bought into this paradigm, and I think we were taught it by very well-meaning people. I think my parents and my relatives up to that point really bought into this and taught it beautifully, that we have to work hard and then take time off to play. Anybody else still caught up in that? That we have to work, do our work our lives, live our lives. And then on the weekends, I had a father who literally, he was a cop, but he was a cop during the week and on the weekends sometimes too. But he also took that side job as a bartender, as a lot of cops do. They're bartenders and they're cops. I don't get quite the correlation, but probably works. And then every now and then he'd have a couple days off, and that was when he would live his life. So we, I hope, are starting to understand that's not living life up a notch. We have to learn how to play more. Pick it up. When I'm a director, when I'm directing a play, I can't tell you how many times I use the phrase, pick it up, because the play is just kind of laying there. And the actors are languishing in their lines. They're so excited about their lines. And they just say them as slowly as possible to get more stage time. And I have a little story about how many of you remember the beautiful actress Dolores Gray? Yeah, she was a big movie star. She was the star of the movie Kismet. Anyway, I got to star opposite her in 42nd Street. And she was so slow. She had been taught at MGM how to act, which is hit your mark and talk slowly. So literally, every one of her lines was about 10 minutes long. And it didn't matter what she had. And she had one line which was, Mr. Marsh, Mr. Marsh, I wish you would please take the time to look at me and understand how much talent I have. So here's how she did. She'd go, Mr. Marsh, I wish you would really take the time. And we'd all be like, Jesus, God. But she really knew how to literally slow things down and really take the time. So if we're going to talk about living your life and actually being in the play of it, pick up the pace, picking up the energy of play, it means you have to pick it up. So you all ready to pick up the energy of play in your life? Yes. So yesterday, we do retreats here for our practitioners. And yesterday was one of our retreats. And so we went to Malibu, to Point Dune Beach, and we did a 6-hour retreat. And it was all about play. It was so gorgeous, so beautiful. The sky was beautiful. The place that we picked out was beautiful. And as it says in the song, ain't it nice to get out of here? Ain't it nice to get away? Isn't it nice to step away from the things that we think are kind of just our mundane day-to-day things and go somewhere? Taking it up. To get to this beach, we had to go up the mountain to get to the beach. So I was very clear, this is what we're doing today. So we get to the beach, and it was just beautiful. And Caressa McElhaney, we built a labyrinth in the sand. We literally built, and we thought it was going to take an hour. It took us like 20 minutes. And everybody brought rocks, big rocks, that we laid all over the labyrinth. And our job was to write something on the rock we wanted to get rid of, and then turn it over and write what we wanted to replace it with. And then we put those face down, and as you walked the labyrinth, you read all these beautiful words: love, joy, trust, faith. It was just amazing. But here's the really amazing part. When you up the energy of play in your life, when you pick it up, the energy of play, here's who comes out to meet you. First, a bunch of seals came to the beach, and they just kind of poked their heads up to look to see what all of us crazy people were doing, walking in circles in the labyrinth. And so all these seals are looking, and we're like, look, seals! And we're like a bunch of children. It's like, oh my God, the seals. A little while later, the dolphins just start jumping. And someone screams, dolphins! And we all ran to the edge of the water, and we're looking at the dolphins going. It was great. But that wasn't the end of it. Now, I've been going to this beach for 27 years with my husband. All of a sudden, this huge whale swims by and like comes out of the water, and it's this, what was it? It was like marbleized. It was the big marbleized whale, and it, like water shoots up, and I was literally like, wow! And everybody runs down, and we just watched it as it just slowly. So when you up your energy, the universe answers. And the universe says, here, have some seals. Oh, wait, dolphins. Wait, you haven't seen a whale yet? Watch this. No, you think it can't get better than that, right? It does. So then we have this exercise where we are about to, we all pick little symbols, and we get our partner. And then our job is to go walk for an hour, spend an hour. We all got beautiful quotes. Go contemplate. At this part of the beach, there's this amazing rock. I mean, it's enormous, where people do rock climbing. And if you are so adventurous, you can climb around it and end up on this private beach, this empty little beach. So a few of us climbed that, Sharon Kelly being one of them. And so we climbed over all these rocks, which was quite a little climb. And we get over there, and we're standing on these beautiful rocks, and the water is screaming, and it was just amazing. And we're talking about our lives and treating it. It was just a beautiful time. So I realized that my partner didn't want to make the walk, so I should go back to the other side of the rock. Sharon was treating with Orestes, and so I had to walk a different route so I didn't interrupt them. And I walked around, and I went to step on a rock, and all of a sudden, like about that far away, this little head pops up and barks at me. And it's a seal. A baby seal. And it just looked up and went, ah! I almost died. When you're not expecting living things to appear out of a rock. And I was like, oh, and it kind of went, whoa. And so I backed up. And I'm looking at this seal, and I noticed it's been hurt. It's a lot of rocks there. And I think during high tide, it probably got thrown into this little thing here and was stuck. And the water was already far out, and I thought, you can't stay here, because if you stay here for the rest of this day, you'll die. So, and I turned to them, but they're still treating. I'm like, I don't want to interrupt their treatment, but I waited till they were finished. And then so Orestes and I went over and we started clapping at it and just saying, come here. And I ran down to the beach. And all of a sudden it kind of just pulled itself out and we could see that it had hurt its fins. And we didn't have cell reception on that beach. And so I was like, the truth is that it will heal. It just has to get back to the water. It has to get back into the water and go with all of its other seals, and they'll all help each other. I know how this works. So I go to walk towards the seal. The seal's like, don't even think about it, Mr. Human. And then someone yelled, seals bite. I was like, got it. Okay. I don't snorkel and I don't do seal bites. But what was so beautiful was it eventually just kind of wiggled, got out of these rocks, and kind of came towards me. I'm backing up as it's coming towards me. I thought, well, seals can't move that fast, so it's not like a snake. It can't, kill me. So we just kept going until it finally got close enough that it saw the water and just moved it a little bit, and then the water came in and took it right out. And it just kept going with his little head looking. And it was so beautiful. It was just so meaningful and so beautiful. And I thought to myself, this is what happens when we are willing to up our lives a notch, to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning when I'd only gone to bed at midnight, to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to make steel-cut oatmeal for 17 practitioners from scratch, to put them all in separate containers, and then travel them out to the beach. When we really decide to take our lives up a notch, that's what I want this month to be like for all of us, that kind of experience. Because you have to show up in life in order for life to show up for you. And that means, just like this song, that we have to be willing to take it up a notch. We have to be willing to go up, 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 to fly away, to do things differently. Are you willing to do things differently in your life? Yeah. How many of you feel like you could totally look at your life right now and say, I can change things around a bit? How many people? How many of you can change things around? Yes? Alan Marcy, can you not change things around? Yes? Couldn't you change them again? Absolutely. We can all change anything we want around. Now, second part of this song is this. Enough, good enough, is not the same as enough. And I love that he puts this in the song. Enough doesn't mean good enough. Good enough. Good is good. Not good enough, it's good. Is your life good, or is it good enough? Because in this song, he talks about raising the ceiling. And I've done a lot of work recently. Mental Muscle Extreme just ended yesterday, and those 30 days were remarkable for me and really transformative for me, as everyone was so prolific and so intense in this 30-day workshop. But this idea of getting rid of the ceiling of my life, any ceiling, I think we have ideas that we agree to. Like, oh, well, I am this age and doing this thing, so this is about what I can have. Oh, my God, no. That's not true. The only box you're in is one that you put yourself in. And the only ceiling above you is one that you have literally constructed, built, and put in. So this song is so perfect for me, for what we're doing this month. Stepping into my power means there is no ceiling. And for me, there are no walls. And I've said it a lot here. It is time for change. It is time for us to get with change, to get with the energy of change, to get to pick up the energy of play in our lives. Now, play can also mean a sports reference, which of course I'm not going to go into. But the whole idea of the play, I think that's where it really came to, taking it up a notch, put more energy into this play. But it's really about the activity of life, the energy of life. Are you excited about your life? Do you have excitement about your life? Or do you let things stop you? Is there anything right now that is stopping you? What is stopping you? What is it? So yesterday, I'm in the car, we're driving over the hill, and we're having a beautiful drive, and it was Lori Donato and myself and Orestes, and we're going to meet all the practitioners, and the phone rings as we're at the top of Mulholland coming down the other side to go to the beach. The phone rings, and it's Reverend Nancy. One of our practitioners had run her car over some rocks that had had a mudslide, tore out the bottom of her car, and her car stopped. So she said, are you already at the beach? And I said, no, we're probably 5 minutes away from the beach. She said, are you behind us? I said, well, where are you? Well, we ran into them moments later. So here now are 3, 4 cars on the side of the road, 15 practitioners standing on the side of the road. How many practitioners does it take to get a car started? So I know you're just like, I wasn't going to say it, but I did. So we get out of the car. Well, AAA had already been called, so everything was fine. And the woman, Mary Sala, whose car it was like, I'll skip the retreat and I'll go back. And I said, and I don't mean this as calling anybody out, because it took me 5 minutes to say this too. I looked around and I said, has anybody thought to treat yet? Has anybody prayed yet? Everybody went, no. I said, here we are, 17 practitioners on our way to a spiritual retreat, and our first reaction was just, what should we do? All of us, by the way. So I thought to myself, if we all start there, I can't imagine what you all do. So I thought, I got to talk about this tomorrow, because I think we do. Something stops us like a rock slide, and we go, oh my God, what do? Let's figure out what's wrong here. Let's call, boom, boom, let's do this, do this. No, the first thing we should do is treat. Here's what the first thing we should do. First thing we should do is go, nothing stops me. Nothing stops me. Everything is unfolding perfectly. It's all going to be perfect. So here's what happened. We called AAA. AAA came, took her car back to her area, but basically said to her, you don't need to come with the car. You just go. They said, well, where were you on your way to? And she said, a spiritual retreat. And the guy on the phone said to her, well, why don't you go on your spiritual retreat and send your car on its own spiritual retreat? And then when you come at the end of the day, you will be better, and so will your car. How great was that? So Mary just went to the spiritual retreat, and I'm sure her car is absolutely magnificent. So here's the thing about that. How many times do we let something derail us? How many times do we let something stop us? How many times do we forget that we are the power, not that which we've created? So we had this beautiful labyrinth walk yesterday as well. And on the labyrinth walk, how many of you have taken labyrinth walks with us? Well, we're going to start getting back into those again. I want to actually create a labyrinth walk in Malibu the way we just did it yesterday for you all as well. So we will figure that out, answer that. So we're on the labyrinth walk, and I ended up, you know the story about Reverend Rita. She threw her labyrinth walk once, and it was the first time she threw all these cards down, and you had to pick up a card and read it when you wanted to. And I picked up a card, and it said pivot. And I was like, she has lost her mind. Pivot. These are supposed to be spiritual words. And that's where I went. I was like, oh, Rita, pivot. What? I'm supposed to turn? And as I turned, I saw this gorgeous tree. And I was like, oh, pivot. Oh, I get it. So now I live my life with pivot. I totally understand what pivot means. It means find another perspective. Always be willing to turn and look in a different, and bevel at all times. So yesterday, I'm standing at this, I'm walking in the labyrinth, and I thought to myself, Reverend Rita, I can't see a labyrinth without thinking about Rita, and I thought, oh, don't forget to pivot. And as I turned, there was that giant mountain, and the tears started going, because I just looked at it and went, how many mountains show up in our lives? How often does a mountain show up that big? And how often do we then forget our power? We forget who we are. We see a big mountain, and it can be a financial mountain, it could be a love mountain, it could be a health issue. How many times do we see these enormous mountains? And I thought to myself, God is the mountain, and God is the mountain climber. And the problem is, we separate them into two things that are different. That's where duality shows up too. Seeing our problems as something separate from us is a duality. It's a dualistic notion. And I loved what Erin did in the meditation this morning when she read from Ram Dass, saying that the integrity of life means that we must see God in the greatness as well as in the superficial. Are we willing to see the mountain and be one with it? So much so that climbing it is no issue, no big deal. Because the mountains are there to climb. The mountains are there to get to the other side and find a baby seal who needs your help. The mountains are there to enrich your life. Stepping into your power doesn't mean that you step into a life where there are no issues. It means you step into the power that understands you created these issues. You made these mountains. They are there to climb. They are there to rejoice in. They are there to find what's on the other side of. They are there for you to up your energy in the play of life. so that you can play with these mountains instead of constantly being afraid of these mountains or struggling with these mountains or fighting with these mountains. And it didn't pass over me when I turned from the mountain is when the dolphins started jumping. And I was like, God, the universe just answers you, tells you exactly what you need to hear. And our job, stepping into your power, means be willing to find a way to make the mountain and who you are come together as one. So I have a triple A. I have a triple A suggestion for you, and it's this. You need to call triple A sometimes to take your car on a spiritual retreat. Yes, sometimes. Well, sometimes we need to call triple A into our mind so that we can get our mind back on track and more in alignment. So here are the 3 A's of how you can step into your power and how you can energize, really pick up the energy of play in your life. 3 A's: awake, aware, and active. Awake, aware, active. First of all, you must be awake. You have to wake up to your life, to all of it. Don't be afraid to look at any of it. I am awake. We used that. I am awake. I am awake enough to see every aspect of my life and to know that there's something to know here. I am awake. Now be aware. Pay attention. Pay attention to as it unfolds. So many people in this science, in this new thought movement, feel that there's a benefit to turning away. Oh, you know what? God will handle it. You know, you are God. So if God's going to handle it, take a look at it and handle it. So awake, aware, be aware of what needs your attention, and then active. Are you willing to be the active energy of your life? Are you willing to do what needs to be done? Are you willing to take it up a notch? Are you willing to take it up a notch in such an amazing way that your life is going to be interesting, intense in all the good ways, and more exciting? I want my life to be more exciting. I want my life to be more interesting. And I want to be more interested in everything I do. And I can feel it coming. I can so feel it changing. I can feel the energy of the universe changing. Last week in the LA Times, there was an article on religion, and it said that religion is down by 12% from where it was 10 years ago. And that the millennials, who are millennials in this room? If you know you're a millennial. 1. Okay, so millennial, by the way, you probably don't even know. Millennial is up to what age? 40? I think it's 40, 30, 35, 35. Oh, now you're raising hands. Got it. Okay. So it's up to 35, yeah. So the millennials, 1 in every 10 millennial identifies by a religion. What does that tell you? 1 in every 10 identifies themselves as attached to some religion. It's telling me that we are no longer interested in religion. We're no longer interested in the boxes. We're no longer interested in saying, this is the only thing I am. I am a Buddhist. I am a Hindu. I am a Christian. I am Catholic. I am New Thought. I'm all of it. I want to be all of it. There's so much to gain from any part of it. It's just we need to bring them all together. That's what makes me more interested in life. That's what makes me more excited about life. And if religion is going by the wayside, I say, bye-bye. That's okay, right? I guess I should bring this up now. And I know I'm going on a little long. I will conclude this. But I will bring this up. We've been talking about the marketing of this center and the marketing of our message. And we had this great marketing meeting, and we came up with this idea. I think it was mine when I said it. And we all just stopped, and I went, okay, I can get behind that. So we're thinking of saying, this is our new marketing tool, the Global Truth Center, not church. Doesn't that sound cool? I know. I was like, and they were like, do you really want to get behind that? I went, yes! The Global Truth Center, not church. And then, well, what is it? Come and find out. Right? So, are you willing to take your life up a notch? Use the AAA. Use the AAA. Be aware. Be awake. Be aware. And then be active. Be active. Take active participation in your life. Be willing to be active in letting yourself be interested in your life. And if you're not interested, as I like to say, if you can't put your heart in it, take yourself out of it. You must be interested in your life, because if you're not, how could you expect anyone else to be? Namaste.